evening is king without thrones. Revelation chapter 1 verse 6 made us to understand that we are king and priest unto God. But my emphasis is we are king. A king is one who presides or oversees over a jurisdiction by his act of rulership, act of government, act of legislation. So a king is one who has been enthroned to be a ruler. Genesis chapter 1 verse 26, the Bible said, and God said, let us make man in our own image and likeness, and let them have dominion. So dominion is one of the elements you will find within the disposal of a king. The Bible says where the word of the king is, there is power, there is dominion. If it is true that the Bible has indicated that we have been made king and priest, and don't forget my emphasis is king, and one of the indications that someone is a king is the act of power, act of rulership, act of influence that precipitate towards that person. We know the level of your kingship by the territory you are able to conquer. We know the level of your kingship by how many people you are able to influence. We know the level of your kingship by your dominance, your conquest over every reality that are subjected to you. I've noticed many things in the life of many believers, and one of the things I notice is that although believers be made king and priest, but believers lack power. Believers lack ability to rule. In fact, we live in a day where it looks as if believers are powerless. Meanwhile, the Bible said in Luke chapter 10 verse 19 that you shall tread upon scorpions and serpents, and nothing by the enemies will hurt thee. Why do we have believers who now step upon shams and they are hurt? Why do we not have believers who sleep and they are attacked in their dreams? Why do we not have believers who are messed up in their dream life? Why do we not have believers that their utterance are not potent or recognized in the spirit? Why is it that when believers cough, enemies are not shaken, but when the enemies cough, believers catch cold? This is a mystery I have come to unravel. The king without throne. The power of a king is not in his title. The power of the king is in the throne the king is able to ascend. The rulership of every king, if you are indeed called the king, you must have a throne. It is from that throne a king is able to rule within the sphere of the jurisdiction that is allocated to such kings. So any king without a throne has no place of government. He can be a king ceremonially, but as long as there is no throne for that king lack power, he will lack potency, he will lack ability of recognition, and although he is a king, he will be treated as a servant. When Samuel anointed David a king over Israel, when Saul indeed had been rejected by God, the Bible recorded clearly that immediately David was anointed as a king. We didn't see David ruling over the city of Israel or the country of Israel. We didn't see him conquering territories, as the case may be. He was still the son of Jesse. He was still roaming about the street, although he was anointed a king, but yet there was no attribute of such reality in his life. The reason for that was because the man who had been rejected by God as a king was still on the throne. Although he has been rejected by God, but inasmuch as he is on the throne, he will still rule. Let me tell you this: servant rule over king when servant ascend the throne before the kings. The sons of Issachar, they were rulers of the sons of Judah. Meanwhile, the prophecy was not for the sons of Issachar. The prophecy of rulership wasn't for the sons of Judah, because the Bible said the scepter shall not depart from Judah. But Judah's children, although they were made kings, but they were slaves and subject to the sons of Issachar. The reason is because anyone who get grip of the throne will rule. That is why servants are on horses and the kings are on barefoot. I repeat, servant will rule over kings when servant ascend the thrones that belongs to the king. This was one of the wisdom of Solomon in his drafting in the book of Ecclesiastes. He said, I have seen a mystery. It's a mystery under the sun, how that the servant are on horses. The horses in that context represent throne. How the servant are on horses and the kings are on barefoot. The king is supposed to be on the throne, but the servant are now enthroned, and thereby rendering the potency of the kings, rendering the ability to rule to nothing. The reason is because the king are not yet on the throne. So when a servant is enthroned, he will rule over the king that is supposed to operate from the throne. Part of the things we are seeing today is that many kings lack throne. In this context of our kingdom, without a throne, a king lacks jurisdiction of operation. That is where the power of jurisdiction begins. In Nigeria, once you are elected a president, you have to relocate to the White House. That is where the operation, the power of the king or the president as elected begins from, because that is where the throne is. So every king needs a throne. So when the devil want to attack a man, he know that God has made you a king. He knows that. He knows that you're a king by making. He knows that even before you ascended or descended into this earth, there is a kingship title on you. But Satan will make sure you don't ascend the throne, because he knows that your power, your ability, your manifestation is in that throne that you have ascended. Whenever a man does not ascend the throne of his destiny, the consequences of that is that that man will become. In that business, before you can become the main man in that business, you need to find out the throne of that business and ascend it. Even if you are not a king, if you can get hold of the throne, you will rule over the king. So I want to pray one prayer for everybody watching. The Lord will give you a throne. But the Lord will give you a throne. I pray for you in the name of Jesus. May you ascend the throne of your destiny. May you ascend the throne of your destiny.